I don't know if you were watching the weekly close last night. We were on the border here of this weekly close, and it didn't help us that this helicopter went down in Iran and killed their president. That wasn't good for the weekly close, but the truth is, regardless of it, we did close above the key levels, and now we may be on the way to an $84,000 Bitcoin in 6 weeks. I'm going to show you the maths of how we get to $84,000 in Bitcoin in 6 weeks. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Then, when it comes to altcoins, I've got a big show for you today because we're going to talk about the ETH ETF rejection, which is, the ETH ETF is going to be rejected. There's an 11% chance that it's going to get approved. We're going to talk about Nvidia's earnings. I'm going to talk about a bunch of tokens that could run because of this AI narrative. And then I'm going to show you 5 tokens that I'm going to be buying in the fight against the VCs. Because you know that like this fight against the VCs has started to gain momentum, and people are starting to realize the game that the VCs are starting to play using the retail investor as exit liquidity. I'm going to show you which tokens I'm buying, which are going to make me life-changing money and at the same time screw the VCs over. So that's a big show for today. I've also got 𝗏𝗏 sitting with me right here in the studio all the way from very far away. I can't say where he came from. I'm not allowed, right? I'm not allowed to dox the founders, but they're sitting with me in the studio. So it's a very big day here. Anyway, let's get the show on the road. I'm also going to show you why Josh is going to get a tattoo of run on his backside. That we're going to do as well today. So let's go. Big show today. Josh took a bet with me in the studio today, and the bet is, what do I have to do? I have to give you all my Evo revenue, and you have to get a tattoo on your backside that says Run is the best trader in the world. We closed the deal. 𝗏𝗏 here. 𝗏𝗏 here. We closed the deal. 𝗏𝗏 here. 𝗏𝗏 watched the whole thing happen. So anyway, listen, welcome. Got a big day today. We're going to be talking a lot about how we get to 84,000 on Bitcoin in the next 6 weeks. We're going to talk about the ETH ETF rejection, 5 tokens that can run on the ETH ETF rejection, and there are also tokens which kind of stick it to the VCs in this war between retail and the VCs, which is really, really, really hotting up. So I think we've got a big show today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel. What you will see is that if you subscribe to the channel, you do stand in line to win the Banter bag. So quickly, just for those people who are new here, the latecomers of the cycle, what are the Banter bags? Well, we get early stage VC allocations, which normally people can't get, of a whole lot of projects. We put them into these things called the Banter bags, right? These are the Banter bags, so to speak. And when we get to 1 million subscribers on Banter and 350,000 subscribers on Banter Plus, and Josh gets the tattoo on his backside, then we give away the Banter bags to you guys, the community, right? Now, I think that these Banter bags could be worth, I don't know, what are they going to be worth? Probably like $1 million, $5 million? Proper money. They're going to be worth proper money. Anyway, today we've got a new Banter bags, and I'm very excited about this project. This is a project that we actually invest in. It's called 𝗏𝗏𝗥. Okay, so what is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏? It's like, think about Waze or Google Maps, but it's almost like you create the maps whilst driving. So if you just use your smartphone, you create the map. So I think there's a Solana equivalent, which I think is called Hive Mapper. It's what's called Hive Mapper, right? That's what it's called. Josh, what's it called? The Solana, it's called Hive Mapper, right? Yes, but except you don't have to buy these fancy cameras. Hey, you just use your mobile phone. So these guys have given you guys an allocation, and it's an allocation at the same price that the CoinList people get. Now, you can go and sign up to their ICO or their pre-IDO on CoinList. I'm not a big fan on CoinList. I had a very bad experience on CoinList about a week ago. I wanted to try and get into one of their pre-sales. Their customer service is so shit. Their follow-up in terms of documentation is so shit that, even like a pizza shop has a better customer service than CoinList. And you can tell them I said that. I think they are a revolting criminal operation. Okay, now I'm not allowed to say criminal, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I just think that the way they treat you as a customer is so bad that it's just terrible. Anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. I know you guys are going to meme that coin listing. I can already see it. This is a big problem. Anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. I told you we're going to talk about how Bitcoin gets to 84,000. I'm going to show you the voodoo behind that. I'm going to show you all the magic. It's actually not that complicated. I'll show you why it's not that complicated, right? So, long story short, this is how I get to my calculations, right? Number one, I look at the stochastic RSI. I said to you, as long as both of them are under 20 and the yellow line has crossed the white line and they're now both in an uptrend, that's the first confirmation for me that the next part of the cycle is up. Then I was waiting for this close over here. I was waiting for this close above the trend line over here on the weekly. Now, as I said to you, it was touch and go at one stage. Why? Because just after we did the meme coin show yesterday, we had news that the helicopter crashed in Iran. Now, a lot of people were like, holy shit, helicopter crashed in Iran. It must be Israel that's involved. This is an escalation. It could cause World War III, etc. Turns out right now, it seems like there's no foul play and that the Iranian president, actually his helicopter just crashed because of bad weather conditions. That is what it seems like. It seems like, I'm seeing like conflicting reports that 4 people have been killed. So the president, Ibrahim Raisi, he's been killed. The foreign minister, Hussein Amir, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his surname, and 2 others seem to have been killed. Right now, it doesn't seem like the Israelis have done it. In fact, I actually read this, which was quite compelling. It said, if Iranian President Raisi is dead, his apparent heir apparent is 𝗟𝗏𝗀 𝗪𝗏. Now, the Khamenei name may look familiar because he's the son of Ayatollah Khamenei, the ideological leader of the Iranian theocracy. I see a lot of finger pointing at to who caused the helicopter accident. Maybe people should start by looking at the man whose son is about to take over as president. Again, I don't know if this is true, but I mean, just showing you there are a whole lot of conspiracy theories. Look, regardless of the conspiracy theories, we actually got our weekly close above where we needed to get to. Now, I'm looking for one more thing. I'm looking for a close above the all-time high, which is about 74,000. Why am I so interested in the close above the all-time high? I'll show you why I'm so interested in the close above the all-time high. We've been in this range for like 70-something days. We counted it the other day. In fact, let's go on to daily and just see how long we've been in this range. Look how ridiculous this range looks when you look at it. But let's quickly get a ruler. We've been in this range for... No, it's not 83 days. I must be a bit more accurate here in my charting. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's go all the way to here. It's 82 days. So we've been in this range now for 82 days. And my concern is that we're just at the higher point in this range. So for me to be fully convinced that we're actually breaking out, then I think we need to actually break through the 74,000 level. Now, as Jason Pizzino says, he says, Bitcoin hits its 10th consecutive week under the all-time high. The previous record under a significant high was 15 weeks. You can see it on the charts here. I've drawn you guys an amazing chart. Actually, I didn't do anything. My researchers did it. They said it was 102 days under the local all-time high. Here we've been consolidating for 70 days. To me, it kind of makes sense that we're going to break out. Now, I tweeted and I said, look, if we do break out, and we break above that level, we get to 84,000 in less than 6 weeks. Now, I'm going to show you the mathematics behind it, right? Okay, now, get this. It's like genius mathematics. All I did was go to the last time that we broke out of one of these bullish wedges, and I said, what happened from there until we broke into the next bullish wedge? Was about 40%, right? So 40%. Then I took the next consolidation and the next breakout here to here. It was about 35%. So I've said, okay, 40, 35. Then what happens when we break out here? We need to go 30% up, right? So let's go from here and let's go 30% up. Let's go 30% up. We're being conservative here, right? So let's go 30% up. Where does that take you? Let's quickly see, where does that take you? Okay, hold on. This is not... Yeah. Okay, it takes you to 84,000. So for me, that's where I got the 84,000 from. I do believe it's possible. If you look at the previous time frames, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the breakout week, right? Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 6th week, we were back in this triangle. When we broke out here, let's ignore the breakout candle. 1, 2, 3. So this one took 3 to 4 weeks to get into it. So for me, I would say if we keep this momentum, 4 to 5 weeks, that's pretty much when we should break. 4 to 5 weeks, I'd say 6 weeks. Someone here who's probably a much better chartist than I am drew the actual lines, and he drew it in the patterns. He's going to 120,000. For me, 120,000 just sounds a bit like wishful thinking, so I'm going with a much more conservative chart. That's pretty much where we're at. Look, either way, what it does feel like is we're ready for the next part of the returns in this bull market. So we've had like one part of the returns, then we've had 80 days of like moving sideways, boredom, death by 1,000 cuts. Now we're ready to go into the next part of the bull market. And if I look at what Benjamin Cowan says, he's kind of showing the returns this market. There's still a long way to go when it comes to these returns, as you can see. The next thing is, as I said, the RSIs are pretty low. As you can see, the RSIs here are pretty low. The bands have been pretty tightly squeezed. It looks like we are ready to move up. If I look deeper into the weeds here, what do I see? I see that I look at the liquidity charts. Crypto liquidity has now started to turn. It means more money is starting to come into crypto. Fed liquidity also starting to turn. So more money into the main stock markets. We know that when there's more Fed liquidity, that flows into crypto, and that brings more crypto liquidity, and that is what actually drives prices up. So that's another thing which I'm looking at. More from TED Talks Macro around liquidity. 65-month liquidity cycle. Now, over here, on the way up again. So it looks like, if you look at all the charts, the US money supply, we spoke about this chart a few weeks ago, again, broken up into the positive territory again. So all of this shows that we are looking to get into the next part of the cycle. USDT and USDC supply, so in other words, stablecoin supply, $144 billion on the up. More money into crypto means more prices go up. Whales not selling. I don't want to talk about the whales not selling. I think it's such a bad metric. This is a good metric. This is a very good metric. Smart money is now fully deployed out of stables. That's like a very, very good metric. We're going to talk about the smart money later because I'm not sure who the smart money is this cycle. It used to be the VCs were the smart money. I think now maybe retail is starting to beat the VCs at their own game. We're going to talk about that. So this is a big one. Then in terms of ETF flows, we had big ETF flows on Friday. So big ETF flows, 211 million on Friday. And it does feel like when it's coming to the ETF flows, we're going into the second phase of the ETF flows. Now, what is the second phase of the ETF flows? The first phase was small family offices, small funds, and institutions actually buying ETFs. The next phase is pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, big funds coming into it. And that's what BlackRock called the second phase. And it feels like we had the first phase, we had the consolidation, we had that sideways chop, and now we're moving into the second phase, which is the real big phase of institutional buying. So to me, that's kind of like how I look at where we are in the cycle. And that's why I think I'm part of these people over here, which are, I'm pretty much irresponsibly deployed. Let's say I'm fully deployed and maybe a little bit too much. Maybe there's a little bit of money that I've deployed that I haven't even told my wife, and maybe I haven't even told you guys about it. Maybe I liquidated some of my ETH and put the money back into ETH through leverage. It could have happened. I can't confirm or deny if it happened or not, but it is maybe a sign of my bullishness, and I don't recommend that you guys do what I did. But we'll talk about that. Anyway, long story short, I'm prepared for the next part of the cycle. I'm also pretty ready if it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, I can sit here for a long time. I'm not over leveraged. I'm not going to get eaten up by the funding rates and whatever. I'm pretty ready for the next part of the cycle. That's pretty much where it is. Now, look, the next part of the cycle could start this week. It could start this week. Okay, why? Why this week? One is we had the breakout. You see, we had the breakout. We just need to close over 74,000. If we can just close above the 74,000, holy shit, what will only happen if we did that? That plus the tattoo on Joshua's backside, everything, my day becomes amazing. No, I've got witnesses here. 𝗏𝗏 sitting here, he's a witness.
I heard it.
You see, he's chickening out of a bet. He's chickening out of the bet. He's chickening out of the bet. Come on, bro. You took a bet. It's fine. He's going to do the bet. I'm designing the tattoo. Anyway, so why do I think that this week could be a good week? Well, number one, you've got Bitcoin breaking out this week. Number two, you've got a big week in general for crypto. What do I mean by a big week in general for crypto? So number one, we have NVIDIA earnings. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the NVIDIA earnings. NVIDIA always has a very, very, very high earnings expectations, right? So NVIDIA has very, very, very high earnings expectations. And the market always says NVIDIA ain't going to beat their earnings expectations. And then what does NVIDIA do? NVIDIA usually obliterates the earnings expectations. Just look at the last couple of quarters. So they had an earnings expectations of 4.21. They got 4.91. Obliteration. Then the ones before, 303, they got 377. Then the ones before, the estimated EPS was 180, they got 250. Then the ones before, 0.6, they got 0.88. Then the ones before, 0.48, they got 0.65. Generally, NVIDIA beat their earnings expectations. And generally, when that happens, the market flies. And in the last couple of earnings iterations or NVIDIA earnings, generally what's happened is that the crypto AI tokens have actually rallied in response to what happened to the NVIDIA earnings. Now, the truth is, I'm not close enough to NVIDIA, and I don't know exactly about the earnings, but if history is anything to go by on the NVIDIA earnings, then chances are you should probably go back to our AI list. That's the AI list that we went to, and maybe look to buy some of these if you believe NVIDIA will perform. So near, you know the meme of like Jensen Huang touching the guy's leg, Ilya's leg, Render, Arweave, Akash, AOS, Pocket, Based AI, and Claw. These are like our AI. And I think to me, Based and Pepe, you can pick whichever one you want. That would be my AI play for the week. So that's the first thing that's happening this week. NVIDIA earnings, you can look to the AI sector rallying. The next thing that's happening this week is we're getting the ETH ETF decision. No, let's talk about the next thing that's happening this week is actually this FIT21 Act. And Biden, it's about regulation and legislation in the United States. Now, you'll remember that Biden said that even if the Senate and the House vote against this SAB 121, which is an act that is designed to disallow or to make it impossible for ordinary banks to custody crypto, that went to the House and the Senate, and they both rejected it, right? It's a rule that the SEC tried to sneak under the table, and the House and the Senate said, no, this is not a rule. Like, you got to reverse this. And Biden said that he would veto this if it got to him. Now the big question is, this goes to Biden today after fellow Democrats voted against the Democrats to repeal this rule, to get rid of this stupid rule. Now the question is whether Joe Biden will actually take a chance and actually veto this, or whether he's realized that actually, if he does that, he's picked a huge fight with a big voter base. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I really hope that he doesn't veto this. If he does, then I think it's all-out war against crypto, and I think that he could lose a lot of the vote. Then there are two other pieces of legislation that are going to two bills that are going for voting this week. The first one is the Securities Clarity Act, which is an act which is designed to give us more clarity when it comes to securities and actually put aside the Howey rule. And then this CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act, which is really designed to make sure that the Fed don't launch a CBDC. That's pretty much what it is. So that's the other big thing that's happening this week. Big week for US legislation. Then we move on to Ethereum, okay? And people in nursing homes everywhere are looking to the result of the ETF, the ETH ETF decision. Okay, now, look, let's be honest, guys. There is no ETH ETF being launched this week. It just can't happen. There's no way that an ETH ETF is getting launched this week. I know the poly market odds are telling you that did you see how quickly this jumped? It jumped from 17 to 25. Did some news come out? Researchers, did any news come out? I don't want to get, it went back to 17. Okay, I went back to 17. So it looks like there's no chance that an ETH ETF is getting approved this week. And I mean, even though Coinbase said there's a 30 to 40% chance of an ETH spot ETF, I think that was extremely bullish. I don't think that there's any chance that any of these ETFs actually get approved this week. And I think that what happens here is going to be very interesting. So I think even though most people have priced in the fact that there's going to be no ETH ETF this week, or there's going to be an ETH ETF denial this week, I do think when the denial comes, we'll get one little candle down, like where people go, oh, we really didn't know. And it's like, come on, we've been talking about this forever. You did know. And then I think it could actually start an ETH reversal. So I kind of think like when that happens, all the bad news for ETH is out in the market. And then the question is, what happens to ETH after that? So I don't know if you guys watched our show yesterday. We had Suzu on the show, and he said, look, and this is this is quite a bit of alpha. I think his position was right. He said, look, he said he went short, he sold Bitcoin and he bought ETH. Okay, so he sold Bitcoin and he bought ETH. He went short Bitcoin and he went long ETH. What is that trade? It's a trade that is market neutral, because if the market moves up or down, you don't really care because you're long one position, you're short the other position. What you're talking about is you're talking about the gap between Bitcoin and ETH closing. Or in other words, what you're talking about is you're talking about this chart over here recovering, the ETH BTC chart. So I think he's very smart. I think actually this is quite a smart trade. The first part of this trade is if you're betting Bitcoin or ETH, I would probably, for the next 12 months, put my money on ETH instead of Bitcoin. And that's what he's done. He's gone short Bitcoin and he's gone long ETH at this level over here. Because I think that once the ETF news comes out, that's like the death knell. That's like the point of capitulation. That's what the point where people go, what's the point of actually holding this ETH asset? I mean, it's such a waste of time holding this ETH asset. And then they're like, dump it. And then the smart money buys it and we carry on going up. If, however, you are trading against other altcoins, such as Solana, I want you to look at this chart. This is the Sol ETH chart. Now, one option is that we're going to get a rejection here. One option is that we're going to get a rejection here and we're going to go straight back down. But if we break out of this, we're going straight into price discovery. We're going straight into price discovery on the Sol ETH chart. My thesis here is a very simple thesis. If the ETH ETF gets denied, then people will say, what's the point of being in ETH? Let's go into Solana. If the ETH ETF gets approved, people go, hold on, the next ETF that's going to get approved is actually the Solana ETF. Therefore, we should be buying Sol. So I think that I'm more here in this camp. It says the best trade for the ETH ETF is buying Solana. If it gets declined, people go into Sol. If it gets approved, people also go into Sol. Now, I just have to give you one point of caution against Solana. Solana's had an amazing run against USD, against Sol. It's been the best blockchain. It has the most users. It's the most utilized app in Nigeria. And we've been speaking about all of this. But I must warn you that it does feel like the Solana trade is getting a little bit heated. Why do I say that? Because the Solana trade right now is very much a function of the meme coin frenzy that is happening. And it does feel like the meme coin frenzy is starting to die down just a little. So to me, obviously Solana is currently still my biggest altcoin bag. Actually, maybe it's between that and 𝗟𝗏. I think 𝗟𝗏's maybe overtaken it. So between 𝗟𝗏 and Solana, they're my two biggest altcoin bags. I must just show you this because I think that you guys are a bunch of degens, ridiculous bunch of degens. So all I did was I tweeted that my highest conviction bet is 𝗟𝗏, and my second one is Sol, and then that was asshole. And so someone made a meme coin, asshole, and that meme coin, there's a meme coin on pump.fun that was launched, which is asshole. I'm not kidding. There's an asshole token. So my highest conviction bet of the season still remains asshole. So asshole is my highest conviction bet of the season. Nothing changes there. Asshole is the thing. When you go to a barbecue and people say to you, which token should I buy this cycle? Just say to them, asshole. Just say asshole. Just it's true, right? Am I right? Like, would you put your money into arsehole now?
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Soul.
Yeah, they should create a token called arsehole. It's like 50% 𝗟𝗏, 50% Sol. Anyway, so that is where what my thesis is here. My thesis is you got to follow the smart money. You got to follow the smart money now. I think the smart money's maybe going to start selling their Bitcoin into ETH, but I think that they're going to. I don't see a world where Bitcoin runs and ETH doesn't run. Sorry, where ETH runs and Sol doesn't run. I just don't see a world like that. I just don't see a world where you get this like reversal on ETH. ETH goes from $3,000 to $4,000 and Solana goes down. No, if ETH starts running, I reckon Sol starts running, 𝗟 starts running, R starts running, arsehole starts running. Yeah, if your arsehole is running, you should see a doctor. You should see a doctor if it happens. Anyway, got to get to the alpha of the show today. Got to get a bit more serious here. So I told you that if I've got 5 tokens that I want to be buying around the ETH ETF rejection. And that is, as I said to you, it's not going to be Bitcoin. One of them is going to be Solana, but there's a whole lot of others that I would be buying around this ETH ETF rejection narrative. Whilst at the same time, I'm going to be sticking it to the VCs. Because right now, I know that you guys know that I became very vocal around the game that the VCs are playing, dumping on the retail investors. I became very vocal about it. I've always been vocal about it. I've become recently much more vocal about it. I've said, please, can we stop with the low token float, high FDV bullshit? It's so last season, so scammy. Just release the tokens and let the market do its thing. Specifically, I became much more vocal about it when EigenLayer launched. I don't know if you remember, but I did a show and I said, look, this EigenLayer thing has all the elements of a VC scam project. You can't really call it a scam because legally it's not a scam, but a project that is designed to pump up the VC bags, and so the VCs can dump their tokens on retail. Now, I'm gonna walk you through the game again because I think it's important that you understand the game. The game goes something like this. A project gets launched. It raises at a very, very, very small valuation, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million valuation. VCs are the only ones that are allowed to get access to that round, right? Then, not even 6 months later, the valuation goes up from 30 million to 100 million. And again, VCs land up buying it. Then they have this massive plan. The plan is they're going to go to the market. And before they go to the market, they do one more raise to peg the price at a high number. So remember, they've gone 30 million. Then they've gone at 100 million. Then they go at like $1 billion, right? They go to $1 billion. And they raise a very small round at $1 billion. But now the last pre-market raise is $1 billion. And the VC's bag look amazing because now you're this VC, you bought tokens at $30 million and you can mark them up on your fund report to say, look, the last round was $1 billion, therefore I'm 30x up. Then your fund looks like you're a god, it looks like you're the best fund manager in the whole world. And then you can go out there and you can raise another fund showing investors that your return on paper, on toilet paper, your return is 30x. Okay? Now, how do you achieve those returns? Well, you then go to the market, you release a few tokens. They call this high token circulation, low token circulation. You create this huge, euphoria by getting everybody involved. You do PR stunts, and you create massive FOMO. And then unsuspecting retail come and buy your tokens at a huge valuation, right? And then you mark your fund up again. And now the 1 billions become 3 billion or 5 billion. And now your fund looks like you are the best fund in the world. And you go and raise another fund because you are the best fund manager in the world. That's pretty much the VC game and how it's played. And I've been speaking out about this VC game for a long time. And it seems that this weekend, a few people joined my fight. The first one is Binance. They've now come out with a research paper. And in this research paper, they show a couple of charts, which I want to show you. Like really, really good charts. So in 2023, the market cap to FDV was 24.7%, was the market cap to FDV. In 2024, it's 11.1%. What's basically happening is they are releasing less and less tokens to pump up the price a whole lot more in the cycle. And you can see that if you look at some of the projects, these are projects that, so you've got ZK 6%, Starknet 7%, Saga 9%, Athena 10%. These guys are releasing very low circulating supply of their tokens. And then you've got all these VC locks. Now here what happens is retail buys up the very small token supply at high valuations. And then the VC unlocks come and drown the retail investors in tokens. The other person who's now joined the fight is Kobe. He says, look, new launches have become uninvestable, mostly due to the privatization of price discovery and unhealthy inflated valuations from VC markets that ignore supply and demand. That's exactly what I said. In the old days, the project used to raise once at a $30 million valuation, and then it used to come to market. Today, before it comes to market, They are bidding up the project. So by the time it gets to market, it's already had a $1 billion and a $2 billion and a $3 billion round. And then what happens is when it comes to market, they expect the retail investor to buy the few tokens that are out there. You just need a few fools to buy a few tokens to push the market cap up and to make the VC look like a god. And as Kobe says, he says, the new launches have become uninvestable. Good founders want to build successful projects, and they know that market dynamics will interact with their project's perception, and that's why they're doing it. And here's a perfect example of like just showing you how rotten this market has become, right? If you think about ETH, the initial sell valuation of ETH was $26 million. The cheapest ever market cap was $35 million. And if you look at Sol, the initial valuation was $20 million. And the cheapest ever fully diluted market valuation, which came to market, was $240 million. But now look at this cycle's investments. They raised at a $60 million valuation, and the cheapest that a retail investor could ever buy this on the market was $1.7 billion. Like, you understand what's going on here. The VCs are paying $60 million, and the cheapest that a market participant could have bought on the open market is $1.7 billion. StarkNet's the same thing. They raised at $80 million. I'm severely allergic to the StarkNet project. I think it's the epitome of the VC scam against retail. Eigenlayer and StarkNet are my two epitomes of tokens that, in my mind, should fail. They probably won't fail, but they should fail in teaching the VCs a lesson. So, StarkNet, $80 million VC valuation, initial sell valuation. Cheapest ever market cap where retail could actually buy this token, $11 billion. $11 billion. How's that fair? How is that fair that retail should pay $11 billion cheapest? Because the VCs have pitched up this whole, have pumped up this whole token price. And as Hustle says, he says, we've got these $200 million FDV projects on their raises. Like, projects are coming to us now and saying, yeah, I'm doing a raise. I'm like, what valuation are you raising at? $200 million. And also you get like 10% of your unlocks in the first year. And then like you basically locked in for 4 years. And then like my answer to them is, I'm not investing, and no one's going to invest. And that's what's starting to happen right now. No one's investing in these projects. In fact, not only is no one investing in these projects, but retail investors have actually become pretty smart. And what you can see is that when these tokens are coming to market, they're just going down and down and down because there's actually no one to buy these bags. Zero. No one to buy these bags. How's that? Like, no one's buying these bags. They're coming. StarkNet came onto the market, dropped 74% because there's no one to buy these bags. And we can go through every single one of them. The reality is that this game is starting to end. The retail investor is starting to get a lot smarter because people like us are educating people like you about which projects you can invest in and which projects you can't invest in. And you can see that right now, if you look at the average, VCs have 14x unrealized profits locked up in tokens, right? So right now, the VCs have 14x locked up. 14x of their returns are actually locked up in these tokens, right? And you can see that there's an amazing dashboard which was created. Like Celestia, VC dominance high, dump pressure high, circulating supply, 177 million. And I think I'll show you in a second what the fully diluted valuation is. Essentially, what you've got to do is you've got to avoid these projects at all costs. No matter how much you want to invest in the project, you have to avoid these projects at all costs. Why do you have to avoid these projects at all costs? Because when you do, number one, you're protecting your capital because you're not going to get rained on. You're not going to get rained on with VC's tokens when they start releasing the tokens. And effectively, if you would have bought these tokens, you would have bought at the top, and then you would have been 77% down, while the VCs are still 14x up. That's the thing. So first thing you got to do is you've got to avoid these tokens. Okay, so what are retail actually doing? The first part of what retail are actually doing is they're starting to buy meme coins. And I saw this meme about the meme coins, but I think it's quite funny. He says, not a gambling on memes. He's rebelling against the low float, high FDV meta. And that's true. Like, one of the things that retail has done, said, look, we want to be in crypto, but this crypto game is rigged against us. So if the crypto game is rigged against us, what are we going to do? We're going to buy meme coins. And the meme coin game is actually rigged against retail too, but retail just hasn't clicked that that the retail game, that the meme coin game is as rigged as this other game. The second thing that you can do, which is what I recommend that you do, and this is where I'm going to give you 5 altcoins that you can buy, which are not only going to do very well, not only because of the ETH ETF being denied this week, but also because they are the same coins that don't have any more VC unlocks, or have very, very, very few VC unlocks. They don't have this low FDV, so this low token circulation, high fully diluted valuation meta. So what are these tokens? Let's quickly look at what these tokens actually are. Okay, so I made a spreadsheet, and you'll see that this spreadsheet is actually very, very, very similar to the spreadsheet of my highest conviction bets. And it's actually no surprise. If you look at my highest conviction bets, one thing you'll notice about my highest conviction bets is if you look at the market cap to FDV. So if you look at the market cap to FDV ratios of them, the market cap to FDV is very, very, very high. Like in 𝗟𝗡, all the tokens are in circulation. In Solana, 78% of the tokens are in circulation, and the rest have been sold to VCs that are going to hold them for a long time. Telegram, 68% are in circulation. 𝗟, 90% are in circulation. Rune, 81% are in circulation. Phantom, 88% are in circulation. So I made a list of tokens that you can buy if you believe that you want to still invest in crypto, but you don't want to be destroyed by the VC narrative. And what are the tokens on this list? The first one is ETH, but remember, ETH is not for us. Like, even if ETH does perform, I still think that every single one of these tokens will perform way better than ETH. The next one is Solana. And I think, again, like, Solana is one of my biggest bags after 𝗟𝗡. So as I said, it's 𝗟𝗡. So 𝗟𝗡 in my portfolio. Solana is one of my biggest bags, but I do think that Solana's had a great run. Now I'm starting to move down the risk curve, and I'm going, okay, what can I invest in that is that has a high market cap to FDV ratio? So one of them is 𝗟 protocol, which is on my list. Then you got Phantom, and I'll show you something about Phantom. Then you got Injective, which is a good one. Then Avalanche, then BNB. So you can look at each one of these. And in fact, if I look at the, I haven't been buying BNB, but if I look at the BNB to BTC chart, it does look like it's a very, very, very good chart. Now, I'm not a big fan of BNB, but you can see that you've had the breakout over there, and you also have this upward trend line very, very firmly now in place, moving upwards on the next part of its journey. So I want to talk about a couple of others. So as I said before, the ones that I would be looking at here, so I would add 𝗟𝗡 to this. I don't know why the researchers didn't add 𝗟𝗡. Researchers, I think we must add 𝗟𝗡 in there. So 𝗟𝗡 is one of them. Why do we think 𝗟𝗡 is one of them? 100% of the tokens are on the market. Solana, big part of the tokens are on the market. 𝗟𝗡, as I said before, 𝗟𝗡 flipped Filecoin today, which is quite big, and I think it's actually going up. Hold on, I don't know what's going on with my bubbles today. Josh will tell me it's working just fine. It's true. It'll tell you. You'd say to Josh, bubbles aren't working. Say to you, no, it's working. Where is it? Show me. Where's that new ad bubble? Where? Massive airdrop. Oh, that's good. Okay, so 𝗟𝗡 4712. Okay, 4712. Doing quite well. So 𝗟𝗡 is another good one. But the one that I want to actually talk about today, there's one that I really want to talk about. So as I said, you can look at 𝗟𝗡, Solana, 𝗟, Rune, Sui, but the one that I really want to talk about today is I want to talk about Phantom. And the reason why I want to talk about Phantom is because I think the market hasn't really caught up to the Phantom narrative. So let's quickly just recap what's happening on Phantom. Phantom is a layer 1 blockchain. It was, I think the chief engineer or the CTO was Andrei Krinier, and Phantom was really one of the darlings of the last cycle. Now Phantom has reinvented itself with what they call the Sonic Stack. The Sonic Stack makes Phantom they don't call it a layer 2, but they call it a side chain for Ethereum. And it's a really, really, really fast side chain. Like if you look at the other L2s, you can see that Phantom, specifically with the new Sonic upgrade, really has the fastest block time of all the L2s. So they've created this new stack called the Sonic Stack, and they're starting to launch it. Now, how you get the Sonic token is effectively, here we go. So new chart and chain name for a monolithic L1 competing with Solana and Move on both speed and fees. It also competes with the parallelized EVMs because it is an EVM chain, which means it's EVM compatible. And most of the tokens are circulating. Now, what do they mean by most of the tokens are circulating? Well, here, what they're doing is they're saying launch a blockchain with the Sonic network. Holders of Phantom will have the ability to migrate their tokens one-to-one at the genesis for the token, which is S, pending results of the governance vote. There's a governance vote. Then the governance vote will vote to release a small number of tokens, probably 10% more tokens. And so basically you're buying this new chain at a new FDV, and the old chain will be maintained by the Phantom Foundation. And if anything happens with the old chain, great, but ultimately everything's migrating onto this new Sonic chain. And so here, again, you're getting the opportunity to get into a new layer one, which is the fastest layer one. It's also like a side chain to ETH. And you're getting it at the same valuation as Phantom. And if you look at the valuation of Phantom right now, because remember, you're trading in your tokens one-to-one, the valuation of Phantom is 90 cents, which is a 2.8 billion fully diluted valuation. So I think that this one is probably the ultimate investment if you want to invest in the in the FDV, which is equal to the circulating supply in a new chain where there's no VC investments. As you can see, there's no VC investments here. So to me, that's the narrative that you should be looking at. If you think the ETH ETF is going to get declined and money is going to flow from ETH into other altcoins, and then you're looking for altcoins which actually stick it to the VCs, here is the list that I'd be looking at. And I guess the ultimate play on this list is probably Phantom because of the new Sonic upgrade. I also like Injective a lot. Injective is also one of my favorites. Two of our partners, one of them which is going to be where Josh is going to lose the bet. So you got Polkadot. Polkadot also has 94% of its tokens in circulation. And Polkadot, if you believe in the Polkadot rebirth, and by the way, I do. Their blocks are 2 times faster, 3 to 5 times more extrinsics per block. They've got this new bridge, which bridges all the retail chains. Also, you had Gavin Wood talking at Token 2049 with the new upgrades. So if you believe in Polkadot 2.0, that's another one of those plays. And then Evo, why? Because not all the tokens, but 85% of their tokens are actually out in circulation right now. So this is another one that I would be looking at. So that is what I would be looking at when it comes to altcoins. I must say that for those of you who are part of Frontrunners, you'll love this. For those of you who want to be part of Frontrunners, you'll love this. So Frontrunners is effectively, it's our Discord group. It's the Banter Discord group. It's a very limited Discord group. You can only get in if someone leaves or dies, or we may do another intake. Now, I'm not promising you're going to do another intake. It depends on whether we can or can't. However, if you want to be part of the next intake, you've got to go to this link over here, this one over here that says Join Frontrunners. Okay, so click that link over there and get onto the Frontrunners group, and I'll show you why. There are a lot of calls that I can do on Frontrunners that I don't do on the show because I just don't have time. For example, when I saw Drift at 31 cents, I said, hi everyone, I think this is a huge buy. If you're looking for a long-term buy, VCs paid this price and are locked up for 2 years. It's also the biggest perps play on Solana. And this was on the 16th, which was 4 days ago. Now, for those people who actually took that trade, you guys are up nearly 40%. So you guys are up nearly 40%. And then there's a lot of calls in Frontrunners, like Arweave was in Frontrunners, Drift was in Frontrunners, FTM, Phantom was in Frontrunners, the meme coins, we've got Gustavo doing meme coin calls in Frontrunners. So big calls are in Frontrunners. Now again, it's closed. We may be doing another intake. If you want to be first in line for that other intake, you've got to sign up with this link over here. You'll only be let in when we do the other intake, if we do it. By the way, I did drop one more piece of alpha in Frontrunners today, and that is around Q, where I said, look, Q is launching its DevNet. So remember, Q is now become an ETH layer 2 with like selective privacy, so to speak, right? And they're launching their DevNet tomorrow. So I did actually say on the group that it's probably worth maybe looking to take a small position in Q. This is not like the biggest news for Q. I don't think it's going to like rip, but it's worth keeping your eye on. It's definitely worth keeping your eye on. Also, reminding you guys a few things. Number one, if you want to get the Gummy airdrop. There's $1.5 million of Gummy tokens being dropped to Bybit users. You have to sign up with this link over here, right? Then, if you go here, let me just open this link for you guys. I want to make sure it's the right link before I should expose passwords and usernames and shit like that. Okay, so yes, it is the right link. What you can see is that in 10 days, you have 10 days to sign up. Now, if you sign up in the next 10 days, you get the airdrop. If you trade, you have to sign up and deposit $100. If you trade $500 of any token, you get $100 deposited into your account for free. So that's the next thing. And the last thing is, remember, we want to win this 𝗑𝗏 competition, not competition, but we want to become the biggest referrer to 𝗑𝗏. Remember, 𝗑𝗏 is the bridge that allows you to bridge any token from any chain to any token from any chain. Currently, we are position number 34. So we've really jumped up, but we need to get to position number 1. All you do, you go to, there's a 𝗑𝗏 link over here. There's a 𝗑𝗏 link over here. Where is the 𝗑𝗏 link? Here we go. Click here. Use that link. Whenever you want to bridge money from one blockchain to another blockchain, it happens in like 4 seconds. One day I'll explain to you exactly how to do it. It's very genius. But you can, like, for example, take ETH from the ETH blockchain and bridge it to USD on Solana or on Avalanche. You can bridge from any chain to any chain. When you do that, you get points in the 𝗑𝗏 airdrop, and you form part of our squad, and hopefully we're going to win that. Yeah, so I think that's it for today. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, Josh is getting a tattoo, my friends.